is your yellow? I'm gonna put your first number.
Okay, I have around 10:04, 10:05. Need to get the meeting started. The City of Carrizo Springs will meet in special session May 26, 2015 at 10 o'clock a.m. at the City Municipal Building, 308 West Peña Street, Carrizo Springs, Texas. Call this meeting to order, and we will have a roll call. Jorge Sanchez, Garza,
Lydia Sainz,
René Compañera. Mario Chavez.
Thank you. We have a quorum. At this time, I'd like to welcome the guests. I see Commissioner Villegas, Ojeda, Sainz, Mr. Garcia. I see some people that are recognized. I don't recognize others. Ms. Sanchez, I see you. The press over here. Julian. David DeSenior.
And Ray Garza, who's audio taping. I don't know. It's to upload. It's to upload to the website. Okay.
At this time, we're going to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, before we start, if I could ask you to entertain a motion to take a recess, a quick recess.
At this time, we will entertain a motion to take a quick recess. Do I hear a motion?
so moved.
Is there a specific reason?
Yeah, just want to consult with the attorney.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Sainz, seconded by Ms. Sanchez. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Okay, we're ready.
Proceed with the meeting. We'll go to item 5. We're back from recess at 10:15. 5.1, discussion and appropriate action regarding the use of city property by community service agency, including vacating the premises.
Okay, so this item was put on the agenda because the last meeting that we had, we discussed the CSA having a lease that had expired in 2011. And so basically everyone got together here and we discussed several things. Number one, we discussed a directive from you all for me to meet up with Mr. Ojeda, the executive director, to see if we could work out a plan or a lease to see what portion of the building he could use and what portion of the rest of that building we could take, because we had 15 to 25 employees that we had to situate, along with the equipment that we have that has been damaged, and we've had to file claims with TML. Does everybody have the same recollection of that conversation thus far? Thus far, okay. So in that meeting, I did ask whether you would allow me to, because there was rains that were coming and they've since come and gone, that as soon as I could, I asked you if you would give me the directive to allow my sanitation and water people to start moving some equipment in so that it wouldn't get damaged. And from my understanding, you gave me that directive to go ahead immediately now, which was on that day, to start moving in some equipment. So what I did is I waited about a day or two. I went over to CSA and I met with Mr. Ojeda. And when I went in to meet with Mr. Ojeda, I thanked him for the few minutes that he was giving me to walk in and to speak with him, and asked if he would allow us to go towards the back of the armory and show my two supervisors what he had in the back and what we could situate in terms of equipment and so on and so forth. So we did that. We walked towards the back, and he started showing me he had a lot of boxes to the left, and then he talked about the stuff that he had auctioned off that somebody had not paid for. In that conversation, I did tell Mr. Ojeda, I said, do recall that we had a meeting and the council gave me a directive that I could immediately start moving in some equipment before the rain comes in and it gets damaged? And he said, no, that's not at all the conversation we had. In fact, we videotaped, we audiotaped the meeting, and that's not exactly what was agreed on. You had to come here first, you had to meet with me, we had to come up with the lease, and once we do that, then you go back to the council, and then they can tell you what's gonna happen next. And I told him, I said, you know what, in all fairness, then what I should do is I should go back and listen to the audio. And I'm not gonna stand here and tell you what I think I heard or didn't hear. I'd rather hear it from the audio. Then he proceeded to remind me again that not only one person, but several persons in the audience had recorded our meetings. So I'm very glad that we have many recordings happening. But at that point, I think he and I became upset. We became upset, and at that point, since I felt that it would become more of a confrontational discussion, I felt that I needed to exit out. So I exit out with my supervisors. Later on that afternoon, Mr. Ojeda went down to the sheriff's department, and he filled out a criminal trespass warning against me. And in essence, what that means, from what the deputy did, is he came and the deputy served me here at the city hall. So I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you that the sheriff's department did. They came to the city hall and they served me with a criminal trespass warning at the city hall. I was not trespassing the city hall. This is where I work. From my understanding, if I was at the facility during that time, then I would be served with a criminal trespass. But that was not the case. But Mr. Ojeda went ahead and did that. Against the directive of the council, for me to allow myself to go in there to talk to him, he proceeded to go against that directive and still file that criminal trespass warning. So in essence, from what the deputy is saying, is that I can no longer step foot on city property, mind you, on city property indefinitely, is from what the sheriff's department said. Now, I've done a little research and gone back, and that actually isn't even true. It's not indefinite. They said it was pretty much up to Mr. Ojeda to decide when he was going to remove that criminal trespass. So, we still have issues on our table. The issues are that we still have equipment out of the warehouse that is eventually it's going to rain and it's going to get damaged. But because Mr. Ojeda has a criminal trespass warning against me, I can give no directive, I can step foot on that building at all, because if I do, then I get arrested. I want you to know that you as a council came together to work with this gentleman, and this gentleman turned around and filed a criminal trespass on the very property that doesn't belong to him. Okay?
Okay, one question is, what about the, going back to number one, did you make an effort, did you ever sit down with him to work something out? Before you even were supposed to go in there, before you even you were supposed to sit down with him and work something out.
Correct?
Right.
And
Did you ever do that?
That was the day that I went in to do it.
Did you make an appointment with him to go and sit down and work on a contract like?
No, I did not make an appointment.
Well, I think you should have done that.
Oh, so then that justifies the criminal trespass?
No, I'm not saying anything about
Okay.
but the
So the wrong that I did is I didn't call in to make an appointment.
just like you were directed to set something up.
So you directed me on the motion to call him and make an appointment?
You should have done, and on the deal that we told you, you were supposed to sit down with him.
Correct. Work out a
And work out
plan.
a deal. Did you ever do that?
That's the day that I went to go do that. But if you specifically did not tell me at that meeting to pick up the phone and call and make an appointment, then you cannot hold me to
Well,
that.
that's only professional. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's only the professional thing to do. I mean, I've got some rental property and I've got contracts. and as a tenant. You know, when we sign that contract, I stipulate on there that I am gonna go into the premises. But I have to give them a certain time limit. I have to notify him. I have to notify him before I go in there.
But you forget he doesn't have a contract.
And that's your rental property, isn't it?
That's
So it's a
private.
different scenario. This
Well,
does
you have
not
to follow
belong
the
to him.
contract.
Listen, you're not paying attention.
I know.
The scenario that you're providing is completely separate from this scenario. You are talking about a rental property that belongs and is under your name.
Yes.
You have contracts and stipulations on that contract that you will give them a notice that you are stepping in.
Right.
This has nothing to do with us. This,
What
he
about the
is
contract?
on,
What about the contract?
he doesn't have a contract. You already know that. I told you
On that
that.
paper, you gave us, it states on there, has the lawyer read
Yeah,
this?
I reviewed it today.
And he's going to tell you exactly the way the verbiage is and what it stipulates so that we can all understand what the agreement is and whether he can be there or not be there.
Well,
Okay?
the way I see it, it's from year to year,
Mm-hmm.
after 2011. It's from year to year, year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't see, to me, that contract keeps renewing every year until either the city or CSA decides that they don't want to do that anymore. That's the way I see it. I'm not a lawyer.
Right,
But
right.
I just want to make sure that's what's being followed. Also, it's just being professional. You have to give a person not less than 30 days. They've been there for I don't know how many years, so they got the roots in there pretty solid.
But we already discussed that in the last meeting. That's why we didn't do the 30 days. So that, all of that is
But
irrelevant.
that's not being very professional, man.
But that was already taken care of in the last meeting. You're going back to something that's completely irrelevant.
Well,
What I'm saying to you
I just want
is-
to make sure that we're doing the right thing, because I don't want to be slapped with a lawsuit from them or anybody else.
Oh, but that's okay for him to slap me with a criminal
I mean,
trespass.
that's, you have to justify your actions, and I have to justify mine.
No, sir, you don't understand.
I'm
I work
sorry.
for you. I'm the city manager. You oversee me. He does not oversee me.
Okay, well, I
So
just
you
wanna
need to
make sure.
decide, you need to decide today if you're gonna be a councilman and represent the city, or you're gonna represent CSA.
Yeah,
Because
but
right now, I see a person representing CSA.
Well, you're
That's a
wrong.
problem with
You're
me.
wrong. I just want to be straight.
We can agree to disagree, whatever you want, doesn't really matter to me. Given the fact that you've already read this contract, did you read further into the contract in terms of what the stipulations are on this contract?
I don't know, enlighten me.
Okay,
What is it?
let me enlighten you. Mr. Ojeda, what utilities do you pay?
What utilities do I pay?
Mm-hmm.
All the utilities.
You pay all the utilities?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you show me all the utilities that you pay?
Yes, I can show them. I didn't bring them with me.
You didn't bring them with you. That's very interesting. Well, I have them with me. You pay your water. You pay your water. Do you pay your electricity?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Yes.
Are you sure, Mr. Ojeda? Because you're on record.
Yes, we pay our electricity.
Okay, but yet you brought no paperwork with you
Did
to
you ask me to
indicate.
bring it?
You mean you're the executive director and you don't have common sense enough to figure out to bring your
I have enough
paperwork?
common sense, but you should, we weren't even notified of this meeting. We picked it up on your website. If you need information for us to bring.
Oh,
we need-
you mean you weren't notified like I wasn't notified when they walked in and gave me the criminal trespass? You couldn't have the courtesy to pick up the
Mr.
phone?
Garza, can we speak, sir?
No.
Everything that she's telling you is a lie.
Can you imagine? And that's exactly why I had to leave the armory. Because that's exactly,
Let's keep the comments to.
this is his electric bill, this
to
is
a
what we
level
pay.
of professionalism.
That's his electric bill.
It's a good thing.
This is his water bill, this is the water bill that he pays. This is what we pay, and this is the water bill he pays. In that contract, it also stipulates that he has to pay us $1. He's never paid that. So he's in violation of his own lease, his own year-to-year tendency lease. He's in violation of that as well. But it's convenient not to mention that, is it? It's
Well-
convenient not to bring paperwork with you.
Are we gonna be allowed to speak or not? I mean, you know, you're asking all these questions, and, you know, we can tell the city council all the information that you have presented. We're saying it's not true, and we ask for an opportunity to defend ourselves because you're presenting the wrong information to the city council.
Oh, here we go again.
Mr. Garza.
Okay, so the item on the agenda again is, and I'll let Mr. Wilson discuss a little bit about the lease. Really, to me, whatever the verbiage stipulates on the lease, whether they have a lease, doesn't have a lease, if it's a year-to-year, if it renews, that all you can explain to us legally. I understand, I comprehend all of that. What I'm saying is that I have 3 concerns here. Number 1, there is a criminal trespass warning that he has placed on city property. On city property. Number 2, he is in violation of not keeping up with the lease he used to have. And if he still has a lease, he's still in violation because he's not paying what's stipulated on that contract / lease, whatever you want to call it. So, number 3, I still was given directive by the council to allow me and my employees to situate and move the stuff that we needed to before it was damaged. So we still have 3 issues on the table. Those are not going to go away. So what's going to happen today is I'm going to ask you again to be clear. I have equipment at the warehouse that needs to be moved in immediately into the back part of that storage that he has before it gets damaged. I explained to you in the last meeting that we keep having to file claims with TML because our equipment gets damaged. I don't know how much clearer to get on that. When I approached him, he made certain to tell me that I wasn't going to walk in there, and I wasn't going to do anything, and I wasn't going to take anything inside. He's telling me about city property. So in essence, all I need to know from you is, number 1, he's going to explain the lease. Number 2, I need to hear again on record if you are going to give me the directive so that I am able to tell my supervisors to move in their equipment into the back portion of that armory to secure and to protect the documents that we have that may flood away with the water.
Talk to the lawyer.
Go ahead.
Sir?
Yes,
Ask a question. What avenue do we have from this point on?
well, there's parties to the lease, of course, and all the parties need to follow the terms of the lease. The lease, I believe, was for extended time from 1996 to 2006, January to January. And then it provides it's going to be a year-to-year lease thereafter. And once it gets into the year-to-year portion of the lease, parties still need to perform pursuant to the lease. There's certain obligations upon the tenant, and I really don't see many obligations upon the landlord within the lease. It's a very general type of lease agreement. Might need to be updated, I would think, to provide the terms that you speak of, about the ability to come and inspect the premises, because normally the landlords have the ability to come inspect their premises. I don't know if that's ever happened during the term of this lease, and they've had it for some time. But if one of the parties fails to perform pursuant to lease, then of course, then there comes the issue of the termination of the lease based on the failure of the party to perform. Christine Manager mentioned some of the failures of the lessee to perform under the lease. Whether those are accurate or true, I need to look into it and see. She's told me the lessees indicated something different, so it needs to be looked at, investigated, and inspected or researched to make sure that all the parties have performed pursuant to the lease. If not, then there's certain remedies that can be followed by the one that's being harmed by the breach. There's utilities and $1. I don't know if that's paid. I understand the city manager said not. That needs to be researched to confirm.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question, please? Mr. Mayor, please? I'm the lawyer.
No question, no, sir.
Can I address the council concerning
So,
this?
Mr. Wilson, in terms, and again, I can certainly, if you state on record, I can certainly pick up the phone. I can call Mr. Ojeda. We can schedule an appointment to meet at his convenience, whatever convenience he wants, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening. We can certainly do that to be professional about it. But unfortunately, Mr. Sanchez, I can't do that.
Well, I think it's only right that you and him sit down
Okay.
together with an attorney
Okay?
or somebody representing one for the city and one for him. I just want to make sure that this is all done legally.
Okay?
I don't want this bickering and all this stuff, that you didn't tell me, yes, I told you, no. No, it needs to be done right. So whatever can be done, it needs to be worked out before anything else is done, because it needs to be settled once and for all.
So you're telling me that you do not want any of my equipment moved in from the warehouse?
Not until you sit down with him and the attorneys present.
Okay,
And work
so you're
something out.
willing to take the chance of our equipment being damaged?
It's been there for years, ma'am. It's gotten damaged before, and that's why we have
And we've had to
insurance.
file claims?
Yes.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah.
On taxpayer dollars? We're
No,
okay with just
insurance,
having,
insurance.
when we have the authority and we have the reasoning enough to be able to move out some of that equipment to protect it, you're saying, that's okay, Brenda,
Yeah.
let TML,
No.
let the insurance, let the taxpayers pay on that, because what I want today is for you to enter into some plan or lease with Mr. Ojeda. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Not anything about the equipment and all that, because that's been out there for years. What I'm saying is, for you to sit down with him and the
Okay.
attorneys and work something out.
Okay.
Before we do it, before the council can decide on anything.
Okay, so so I want to understand again. You're telling me that you would like for me to meet with Mr. Ojeda
And the attorneys.
and the attorneys and to sit down and work out a plan, see how we can work things out. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and how would you like me to do that with a criminal trespass on me?
I don't know, we'd meet somewhere in a neutral place, here at City Hall or wherever. Where would be a convenient spot, Mr. Ojeda?
It really doesn't matter, but
So you're not willing to take off the criminal trespass warning?
we would like to explain to the city council why we filed a criminal trespass against her, but the city council will not allow us to do it. There are reasons that we did that. She has been disrupting our services at the Community Services Agency, and we would like for an opportunity for the city council to be informed on how she has been harassing our employees and creating
Ojeda,
problems for us.
Please,
Mr.
I'm asking the city.
I know, but you're getting into,
I'm asking for an opportunity to speak, sir.
I understand.
He's making a lot of accusations that are not true.
That's for the city council to make that
Well,
determination.
how can they make a determination if we're not allowed to speak? They're only hearing one side.
Well, that's up to the city council to make that.
I know, but that's, I'm saying, they should get both sides of the story so they can be informed of the true things that happen.
I understand completely, but it's still up to the city council, it's not.
I know, and I was
It's not
addressing
me.
him before you interrupted.
It's not me or you.
Well, he's the
Well,
legal attorney. Please,
I
let's
know,
keep it
but I was
professional.
asking Mr. Raxel for the opportunity to.
I'm sorry, is there something funny?
And he asked me about the criminal trespass.
Hold, let's keep it, go down.
Okay, so once more again, the Armory, where the Community Service Agency is situated and housed on city property, and I am the city manager.
And we are the council.
So what I'm asking the council, and what you just said on record, is that you want me to meet up with Mr. Ojeda to discuss a
And the
plan for a
attorneys.
lease and the attorneys. And I said to you, I am not able to do that because he has a criminal trespass against me. Now, I am not going to go meet with him at a neutral place, Mr. Sanchez,
What about right here?
because he has a criminal trespass warning against me. The next thing you know, he'll put one on me at the city hall. Then where do you want me to work? They can laugh all they want, and I'm okay with that, because at the end, it doesn't really matter how far they laugh. That's not the point. We're having a serious discussion here.
Yes.
Okay? And the discussion is that to go to the extreme of saying that I'm harassing employees, that never took place. That is why I took 2 witnesses.
Well-
I took 2 supervisors.
So we have our witnesses and we have everything that we can
Mr.
present. to you.
Vallejo, one more disruption for Mr. Ojeda, he will be removed. One more disruption.
That should come from the.
Okay,
I have in my capacity the same authority to ask him to be removed.
okay. What I recall, and this item is from the newspaper from last week, it says here, there was also an item to relocate city employees to the old Armory building where a community service agency is housed and give CSA a 30-day notice to vacate. The council was not convinced there was a reason to issue such short notice and directed the city manager to work with CSA to figure out a solution so that the agency can continue to office from the building, but at the same time, the city can utilize some of the free space for the for their employees and equipment that has outgrown their current space.
So as you read that,
So we
my,
already directed as a council
right,
what
to
was
do
to be
that.
done.
Unless the
We were willing to
journalist,
do that. We were willing to.
I'm
meet.
sorry, there's, Mr. Vallejo, that's the first warning from Mr. Uriegas. So, one of two things has happened here. Either the journalist who wrote the article in the newspaper, who is present today, has misrepresented the facts as they were stated in a meeting, or she in fact heard exactly what was recorded. And in fact, on that day when I went to speak with you, my directive was to allow my supervisors to start moving in equipment. And number two was to talk with you in terms of a plan and a lease. So I did nothing wrong. I did exactly what you told me to do. Exactly. You told me to go in there, and I went in there. You told me to go in there and bring my supervisors to bring in equipment,
I didn't say anything about supervisors. I didn't say anything about supervisors.
not the
Your first-
supervisors.
your
I
first
asked you to
few-
give me a directive to move my stuff in immediately. So, with no further ado, I would like for the council to take a motion today. And I'd like for you to again clarify that I'm allowed to give a directive to my supervisors to move in equipment immediately as of today. Also, included in that, I would also like to meet with Mr. Ojeda at the CSA building so that we can discuss a plan or a lease. I cannot discuss anything with him if I don't have a visual of the actual facility, the square footage, and what we can use and what we can't use.
That was the, just as Ms. Sines read it, that was the original thing that we agreed on, that they were supposed to get together and come up with a solution to where both parties would be able to occupy the building without any repercussions.
Now, are you asking us, Mr. Garza, because we would like to respond, but we have been told that we cannot respond to you. We would like to respond to you, sir, if you would please authorize us to.
So, can we just go ahead and have a motion?
No, it's up to the city council, Mayor Pro Tem, if they want to hear from the CSA. I say Mr. Ojeda, which is the representative of CSA, and also I believe you have a county commissioner here as well.
I'm the board president of
Board
CSA.
If the council wishes and they have questions for these individuals, you can do that. It's up to the council. It's on the agenda, so you can have, it's up to you, sir, Mr. Garza, if you'd like to ask questions.
I think, for myself, before I make a decision, I want to hear both sides of it. I'm not hearing both sides of it. And if they're not going to be allowed to speak, then I move that we table this item until Ms. Campagnone and Mr. Ojeda and the lawyers get together and work some type of agreement. And then they can figure out what space is available. Just like the city, do you know exactly how much material we need to move in there?
Are you asking if we get together and we work on a plan and lease at the
Yes.
community service agency so that I'm able to see the square footage?
Well,
What we can
he
use?
needs to,
I'm asking you a question, Mr. Sanchez.
I need to know how much equipment, do you know how much equipment? you
Sir,
need to
we
put
have
in?
so much equipment. There are so many things that we have to move in, but I need for you to finish your motion. Now, I need you to go on record and stipulate specifically that if he and I are going to talk about a plan or a lease, that we are going to do that at the community service agency so that you give me the opportunity to be able to go in there, look at the square footage, look to see exactly what he has, where we can house his employees, where we can house and situate our equipment. I cannot have that visual. I cannot do that if I'm not allowed access to the property. So would you like to retract your motion?
That's the point that I was going to make. We cannot have a motion for you to meet because he has a criminal trespass on you, so he would need to remove that before we can proceed.
And he's not gonna remove it,
Am I
I don't
correct?
believe so. So,
I mean, if there's concerns about meeting at the CSA, I understand that from the city's perspective, if there's going to be an agreement reached between the parties, there would need to be an inspection of the facility. I don't know if there's an objection from CSA about the ability of the city to actually inspect it or not. I don't know, I've never spoken with them.
The building inspector has already gone over there, sir. But I don't know if I can tell you because we're not allowed to speak. but the building inspector already paid a visit over there. He had full access to go and inspect the building. And, you know, again, we are looking for an opportunity to respond to all the allegations that are being made. You know, a lot of the city doesn't have the information that they need to make this decision. They're only hearing one side.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
Mr. Ojeda, I'm going to ask you a question directly. I'll allow you to answer it. Will you remove the criminal trespass and then,
I would like to inform you why we filed the criminal trespass, so that you can understand why we had to take that action, sir. If you would please allow us to do that.
I think you should just stick to answering his question. Otherwise, he's gonna sit there and defame me and make accusations, and I'm not gonna do that.
I will not
again.
make any accusations, sir.
But you
I'm
already
asking for an
have, so-
opportunity.
I still think that we need to,
So,
my motion is still to table this until the city manager and Mr. Ojeda and the attorney sit down and go over everything that needs to be done. See how much space is available, how much space is needed, how much space is he willing, or will he be able to provide the city, and then you, how much space you're gonna need, and work it out. But because if we don't work it out, there's no sense in you moving in and occupying the whole thing, or he.
and you want me to do this at the community service agency?
No, I want you all to meet at a neutral place, either here.
Sir, I cannot get a visual or a square footage of what I'm looking at if I'm not physically
If you
there.
all will sit down and settle this once and
We've
for all.
already tried, sir, and that's why we have the criminal trespass
Yeah.
now. So I think you're going in circles. But if that's his motion, Mr. Garza, then we need to entertain if there's a second.
we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
All right, so-
Motion dies for lack of a second.
Okay, so again, I am recommending as a city manager that you allow me, number one, to get with my supervisors so that we can immediately start moving in some equipment before it gets damaged into the armory. That's number one. Number two, that you allow me to go to the community service agency, and so that I may be able to work out some plan or lease with Mr. Ojeda. And that's all I'm asking. It's very simple.
So moved.
Well, the attorney is
Subject to the discussions and the recommendations to be made by the attorney to what's contained in her motion. I want the ability to be able to look into and research the ability of the city to actually move in their equipment, their property, into a building that's currently being leased. That's fair, from my understanding.
so
That's
maybe-
my,
Maybe Mr. Sanchez has a good point. Maybe we need to recess so that,
You want to recess and take a look at that?
Yes.
And then come back?
okay.
Okay, so we can go and recess.
Or there could be the possibility of, if some of the facilities not being used by CSA, the ability to have them to agree, because I can understand the need of the city if they're going to have equipment that's damaged, and I'm sure they understand as well, if there's property that taxpayers can be damaged due to the enormous rainfall that we've been receiving recently, that there's possibly some agreement reached between the parties, use unused space at the CSA to allow the storage of city property. Also, you need to make sure that it's adequately insured for the city's protection as well, because currently your insurance is in effect where it's stored currently. I want to make sure that if it's moved to another location that's being leased by a tenant, that's also properly insured for liability purposes. So it's just some of the issues that we need to look at.
Well, you see, this is what we intended from the beginning, was to give them office space, whatever they needed, and for us to use whatever they're not using. Currently, Mr. Ojeda has only very few programs under his umbrella. I believe he has 5 offices that he needs. So why does he need the whole building? I don't understand that. We asked to deal with him, and he obviously didn't want to. That's the directive we had given and we had agreed upon. We were not going to throw him out in 30 days. We were not going to do that. We were going to get together with him and work this out.
Okay. Let me intervene here. I think it's a good idea now. Put your motion, I'll second it, and let them meet with the attorneys as you say, and then all of that can be settled out.
My motion to table, right?
Yes, sir. And then,
Until the city manager and the Ojeda meet together with the lawyers to decide, I mean, that's only logical to me, and we need to do that and do it right. I mean, it's not fair to anybody to do it
It's
ahead
not
of time,
fair
so-
to the city that their equipment is being ruined out there. We've already asked him if we could use what he's not using.
Yes, but
And
that's
we
why,
directed him to have whatever amount of that building that he needed.
yes, ma'am, but that's why you need to sit down and make a contract and decide what's available and what's
I
not.
made that
So-
attempt. I made that attempt, and this is where we are today.
we can do it.
Do you understand, Mr. Garza, that whatever attempt he is requesting, that's not gonna happen, because he's not going to remove his criminal trespass warning. So all of this,
Okay?
it's not gonna
If
happen.
he doesn't remove that, and you can quote me on this, then we're gonna ask you to vacate the premises, period.
Well, sir, again, you keep asking me questions, but this person back here keeps tapping me that I cannot speak, and again, I respectfully request your permission so that we can, you're making a lot of accusations, you're letting all this public know about
I'm not
accusations.
making any accusations.
You
Well,
asked
yes,
him
you
one
are, sir.
question.
She's accusing us of a lot of
No,
things that are
no,
not
I have
true,
not
sir.
accused you of
No,
anything.
sir, just give us an opportunity to respond, that's all.
Mr.
That's the
Wilson.
problem.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Garza asked Mr. Ojeda one simple question. Was he willing to remove the criminal trespass warning so that he and I can get together and work this out? It's one simple question. It doesn't require 10 chapters worth of history. It's a simple yes or a no. Is he willing to answer that question or not?
I believe that he understands the ability of the parties to work an agreement out, or at least attempt to. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be able to do that, but at least attempt to. We're going to have a meeting, and for that to happen, we're going to need, you there, sir, or
I have no problem with the meeting, sir. My only concern is that there's a lot of accusations being made here that are not accurate. And I would like the public that's here and the city council members to know why we were forced to file this criminal trespass. That's all I'm saying. There's a reason behind it. We just didn't do it arbitrarily.
And then also for this meeting to be at a mutual agreeable date and time.
That's not gonna happen, Mr. Wilson, because he has a criminal trespass warning. How can you set a date and a time when I cannot physically go to that building? We're going in circles.
We can meet here, sir.
No, because if we meet here and he claims that I am harassing employees or I'm harassing him, then I'm gonna have the sheriff's department come here to city property and give me another criminal trespass on city property, just like he did on city property at CSA. We're going in circles.
Ma'am, that's why I stipulated
We
on
want to
the
meet, sir. She doesn't want to meet.
No, I'm willing to meet.
Mr. Shannon, I move to a point of order. We have a motion, a second on the table,
And discussion.
and discussion. So we need to vote on that.
Well,
I believe Joanna indicated that for us to have a meeting that.
before we would act on the motion, that's why I asked Mr. Ojeda if he would remove the criminal trespass.
Would we be able to meet at your office at a mutual agreeable date and time?
We can, sir, but will you be there?
Yes, I'll be there.
We will have our attorney there also.
Yes, if you have an attorney.
Okay.
You'd be
I defer to my board chairman. He's the one, in my organization, the board chairman runs the show.
Yes, I understand that.
It's not like here in the city council where the city manager runs the show.
Yes, I understand.
See,
Okay.
an attack. You cannot speak without attacking.
We're willing to do that.
Yes, sir, okay.
And are they
Okay.
willing to remove the?
For us to have a meeting, yes, he's agreed that we're gonna meet at
So
his.
he's agreed to remove the criminal trespass.
For us to have a meeting at a mutual agreeable date and time.
At
with
his
our
office.
attorneys At his office, with the city manager present, we'll be able to do that, correct?
I'll make the decision to remove the no trespass notice.
Effective when, Mr. Villegas?
I have to talk to the sheriff about that.
Okay, I need an effective date at least. Because how can we agree to a date and time, sir?
It's controlled by the sheriff.
No, sir, actually, he told me it's controlled by Mr. Ojeda.
Okay.
We would like to
Yeah, so,
consult with our attorney, sir.
Okay. To have this meeting?
There was a reason why we filed this, and we would like to consult with our attorney. We do want to meet, and he will let us know when we can remove it.
so we're back in the same place again. We cannot meet, we can't agree to a date or a time, we cannot do anything because he will not remove the
Once
criminal
we do that,
trespass.
once we set the date and the time, we'll talk to the sheriff and
And-
remove the,
Effectively, sir, when will you do that?
we have to set that time up.
I mean, when will you meet with the sheriff's department to remove the criminal trespass? So we can set a date and time. That's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to set a date and a time.
What's today?
The 20,
Give me a week
give you a week to remove the criminal trespass?
By the end of this week.
by the end of this week.
We got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I mean, you're here now. You made time to come here. You
I've
can't go to
got
the
it.
sheriff's department?
I've got a commissioners court meeting going on right now that I have to go to.
Okay,
I have
but
a-
you won't be there all day
I have a-
until tomorrow, will
I
you?
have a highway construction meeting at 3 o'clock.
And will you be there tomorrow?
I have 2 meetings in San Antonio the next
You do,
week.
you are aware though, sir,
I'll
that
take
you,
care of it today. I'll meet with the sheriff today.
okay, because you are aware that you are not the one who put the criminal trespass.
That's correct.
It is him who put it.
But I can oversee what he does.
Okay, so,
He's the lessee, is the one that controls the premises, and you're the
I'm the board chairman.
board chairman.
okay, so then on record, you're stating that today you will go by the sheriff's department and ask that they remove the criminal trespass so that then we can effectively make a motion to agree on a date and a time, say Friday?
Next week. That's fine.
Okay, so then, again, could we agree then that on Friday, that Mr. Ojeda and I and the attorneys can all meet together so we can sit down and talk about a plan and a lease, have all the parties mutually agree to meet at the community service agency? Can we do, is that okay?
Do your attorney,
Mr. Garcia, will you allow me to ask you a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
One of the issues that we had there was the issue of whether we were supposed to come back to the city council to let you know what we had worked out. When she came to my office, I told her that it was my understanding that we needed to agree and
Okay, we're gonna ask a question.
so the question I'm asking you, sir, is do we come back to the city council with the agreement?
No, we don't wanna hear that. That can be heard when we
When the
all
parties
I
meet together.
was trying to clarify that.
Yes, sir. Well, no, it wasn't a question. So then we can set up a date. You can go over your motion and set it for what, next week?
Okay, so what will be the motion? The
Friday.
motion is for all parties to meet together with, for Friday at the community service agency with Mr. Urdanga's going on record that he will speak with the sheriff's department today to remove the criminal trespass.
remove it?
Okay? The compromise that I'm willing to make, Mr. Sanchez, and I want you to know right now, the compromise that I'm willing to make is that if I have to hold back and not move any of our equipment in there, I'm perfectly fine with that. We'll hold it back, we won't move it until we figured out the square footage, what can fit, what doesn't fit, and all those things. That's easy. That's the easy part. The barriers, the walls that we have to climb are these little things that happen. They're little fires that we have to put out. So that's all I want. What is the motion?
That we table this item until
We cannot table the item, we're taking action. We're not tabling an item because right now we're agreeing to meet on Friday, all parties.
I move that we go ahead and let city manager, Mr. Ojeda, and the 2 attorneys meet to set up.
On Friday,
Friday or as soon as possible, whenever you can, to set up an agreeable deal that can come before council,
okay?
and so that we can vote on that item, whatever comes up.
And that Mr. Urdanga's is to speak with the sheriff's department to remove the criminal trespass, so that I'm not arrested on premises. Is that included in your motion?
Yes, of course, all the obstacles have to be removed.
Okay, so that is your motion, and I guess we need to
Okay,
entertain a
I'm gonna
second.
second that motion, and, on the motion by Mr. Sanchez that the parties concerned should meet on Friday to iron out this, see if we can compromise on something, and, any other discussion?
I like it, it's great.
All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against? Okay.
Mr. Sanchez, may I
motion
clarify the
to
motion, sir? I heard you say that the agreement has to be brought to the city council for
Yes.
approval? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was asking Mr.
Yes.
Garza.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's what I was asking.
Because the council has to agree on that.
Afterward, we have to approve it.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Garza, you have to motion, you have to initiate motion to adjourn.
I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay?
Second that.
Second, we have a motion to adjourn. Second by Ms. Sines. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?